fuck away off, round your own door. Let's get into it.
Well, just the three of us again. You're re-banished to the other side of the camera.
I'm not allowed back out for another couple of months.
Although I have to say, he's looking very dapper today. Yeah,
Looking gorgeous.
So.
I've got the hat on because my hair isn't washed.
You look.
Really?
Oh, is it the famous hair is being covered by a really gorgeous hat? Actually, a lovely Carhartt hat.
Very few hats actually suit me.
Really?
I like this one, but my head's a weird shape, I think.
Really?
For hats, yeah.
Is that why? Is that what you're doing? Is covering it with the hair?
Yeah.
Have you got a
Really?
freaky head, Seán Freaky Head? Are you Seán Freaky Head?
I am Seán Freaky
We've
Head.
heard the lore of Seán Freaky Head.
Yeah. I've got a load of different personalities.
The man, the myth, the legend, the haircut.
It's nice when it's a wee bit greasy like that. It's nice when it's a wee bit sort of dirty, like.
Yeah.
Jay's your big ride, aren't you?
Oh, sure. But I need to wash it every day. See, this is literally washed like yesterday.
You don't need to wash it every day. That is why it's happening to you. Try not to wash it. This is a PSA for anyone with hair.
I've heard that.
It's really, really important.
The more you wash it, the more you need to wash it.
So if your hair will sort of will run in a very like a real sort of express cycle whenever you wash it a lot, because you're rinsing it and it's having to sort of put it back out. It's like after you come out of the bath or the shower, you get that kind of like little layer of greasy sort of sweat that comes. It's because your body needs it, and that happens on your scalp. If you don't wash it, if you go through a bit of a grease ball for about a week and you just cold rinse, so you hot rinse it in the shower with no products, it helps to keep the natural oils that you need, but your body will sort of regulate a bit more, so you don't have to.
My pink fringe showed me that, because obviously this stuff rinses out like mad. So now I don't wash my fringe as much, but your fringe is your greasiest bit. I try just not to touch it as much as possible too, but now I don't have nearly as much of an issue as I used to have whenever I did all the time. Also try and stay away from dry shampoo. It's wild bad for you. There's loads of like court cases in America about dry shampoo being highly carcinogenic.
Basically, big shampoo is fucking us.
Yes.
They have been for years.
Try a shampoo bar as well. Change your life. Go to Lush and get a shampoo bar.
Yes.
Honestly, they're really good.
So for anyone that's listening or watching, because you can watch on YouTube too, but if anyone has just joined us, we are a hair podcast where we talk about all things hair. My name's Connor and I used to be a hairdresser.
My name's Becky and I have hair.
Perfect. Last night, just on the hair theme, actually, last night we did our hair. This is actually not a setup just for us to talk about ourselves.
Yeah, we're fishing for compliments, so you can leave them below.
Yes, this is the first time in a long time anyone that's been following for a while or has been watching Brona Diamond's Word Up podcast.
We're gonna have to do the Brona Diamond count now. I think we're like every single episode in.
It's very good. It is very good. I think
Pleasure.
last week we've got a clip for her, because I think last week was said it was what it was said it was reasonable.
It was reasonably good.
Reasonably good. Yeah.
Oh, we love it.
But we so if anyone's been following for the last while, I've been on a bit of a journey with my hair. It has been bands of orange and other yellows that we don't want, but now it's perfect.
Yeah. I did a good job.
I even went in to go and get these coffees this morning as well with you. Just no reason, just hopefully so the woman behind the till would tell me my hair was gorgeous, but she didn't.
No. But I've told you it's gorgeous about 5 times today.
No, we talked about donuts.
My opinion doesn't count.
And charities. But talking about charities, today we're actually hoping to talk about ourselves again, funny enough.
Yeah,
but we're going to be talking
favourite subject.
But we're going to be talking all about Belfast 2024 or Belfast 24, one of the two. 2024.
Yeah.
Which is an exciting game changer of a cultural programme that Belfast City Council are bringing to our wonderful city to make us all excited and get you back into the town and get you, I don't know, into the shops and excited about art and stuff. But they've been very supportive so far. The programme is shaping up beautifully. It's going to be across the whole year. I think they're officially launching in March, aren't they?
Yes, I believe so.
But there's a whole host of events. But we are very, very, very excited to announce, because we've been teasing it for ages, that we are now part of that programme. We've been chosen out of a ton of applicants. We're going to get
194 applicants.
Well, we'll get into all the sort of details about that, and we're going to be talking all about our upcoming project that we have literally just got the keys for today to go inside and sort of do a bit of a clean, a bit of a zhuzh. But it is going to be based in the city centre, and it's called Greenhouse.
you want me to tell a wee bit more about Greenhouse now then?
No, I think I'm good actually. Thank you everyone for listening. No, I think that would be good. Yeah, that would be good.
Okay. Yes, so Greenhouse is it's kind of a brand new idea. We are wanting to expand upon our existing projects. So for anybody who's just sort of joining us now or hasn't maybe heard before, we run a social enterprise and have done for very many years, and we are waiting with bated breath for our charity registration number as well, having done all of the paperwork for that in the middle of May last year. So we've been running community projects that deliver toiletries and underwear, and for the last couple of years we've also been running clothing banks in the city that we do in a way that is a bit different. You know, we want to make sure that there's dignity and that there's joy and that people can have a bit of crack and a bit of gag whenever they come and do some shopping.
The problem that we're solving with all of that stuff. So when we first started, we reached out to the community and some of the key players out there in Belfast City to say, what do you need? If we were actually running fundraisers and events and things like that, and if we're doing this alongside it, what else can we do to sort of use this platform and maybe get you the things that you need? And as it turned out, we sort of thought it might be like sleeping bags or whatever. I think a lot of people go straight to that.
Yeah.
Turns out there's warehouses bloody full of the things in Belfast City, but the things that are most used and most of the need are things like the toiletries, underwear, and then eventually clothing that we supply. But one of the missing kind of parts is that often charities will really struggle to sort and distribute those in a way that doesn't waste their time and take them away from their essential services, and that again is sort of filled with the dignity that you talk about. Same for in the clothing banks. It is some of the services out there, people are trying their best, but they're often run by churches that aren't exactly known for their style or experience, and they are not the most uplifting or empowering spaces. For us, we wanted to create retail spaces, or not retail spaces, but spaces that are very like that, so that people can get the things they need, but also then access things like a little bath bomb from Lush, or a lovely perfume, or something
Makeup
special,
palette.
or nice Snickers. What about that? Like lovely pants. But we do that in the clothing banks, and then for years we did the Love Pack program, or we're still doing the Love Pack program, which is taking all of those toiletries and underwear, sorting them, making sure we take out all the crap, because unfortunately when people drop stuff in the bins, sometimes it isn't amazing. And then putting them into bags so that it's fair whenever they give them out in charity spaces or community centres, and so that each of the items are of like a really nice high quality. So within a Love Pack you get all of the items that you need.
And we've for many years also been doing a lot of creative work. You know,
we're artists.
Yes, but we're also producers. We're also marketers. You know, we're communicators. We've done an awful lot of work within the social media sphere. You know,
artists.
Yeah, totally. But we're creative people who can turn our hand to lots of things. We also have a lot of experience, you know, that we've gathered over the years in many, many different contexts. So we find ourselves now with the need. We just kept finding the need and the want for spaces to bring people together and spaces for people to be able to learn. And we identified that from both the arts sector and also from the charity sector. And we sit with a foot in both camps in a really kind of neat way. So we thought, like, how can we build a sustainable project that will bring both people in together, that has mutual needs and mutual benefits? And that is what our greenhouse is. So the idea of that is that it's going to be a creative space and a creative place for people to be able to come and learn skills and share skills. It'll be accessible to the public via a membership scheme. That people can access space that they can come and work. They'll be able to access workshops and events and things like that. So the public can very much feel that they can be part of the project. But what the project will also do is deliver creativity, deliver equipment, the opportunity for people to come together and learn together. And what happens when that magic is in a room, which we kind of learned from people sitting packing period packs together and things like that, you know.
That's powerful.
There's something magic that happens whenever you're busy with your hands, you know, like the idea of sitting working on something, whether it's something that you're making, you're fixing, whatever that looks like. There's also, it's just maybe there's something to do with the way that you'll speak whenever you're not directly looking in somebody's eyes. It's why sometimes the best conversations you can have is whenever you're sitting beside somebody in a car.
I look at you about twice a week.
I know. And I'll be like, I've had a bit of broccoli stuck in my teeth all day and they never noticed.
I turned into that person that doesn't know. I'll always notice your hair
Because you did it.
but yeah, of course. But that person that arrives in office and they're like, here, my Georgie just didn't even I had a full face. I got my tits done, and I was wearing a pink wig, and I gave him his fish fingers, and he didn't even fucking look at me. I'm leaving the boy.
In fairness, you're pretty good. The only time I can remember in recent months is we were going to Mags and Anto. We're having a fancy dress party, and we decided to dress as Dog the Bounty Hunter and Beth. And one of the things that I didn't have as part of the costume was the tits to match.
Yeah.
So I had a corset, I had a padded bra, I had 2 pairs of socks underneath each cup, and they were already up here. And Connor came out of the shower and was like, okay. So you just need to get a couple of pairs of socks and put them underneath each side. And I was like, you're a bastard. There's already 2 pairs at least.
We had planned the outfits, and we're like obsessive about most things. But we had planned the outfits, and we thought, those socks would be good, and then they'd go under, and that's how you push it up and all the rest of it. I assumed that you just still had to go. Funny enough, I don't think it's a this is breaking news by any chance, but I'm not really a titty person. Yeah. It's just not really my thing. I don't really notice them too much. Yeah. And I don't I don't ogle over them. So I was purely in a styling space.
Yeah, I
and
know.
actually you could have like Beth's titties are bloody massive.
Yeah.
And yours, even with the socks, just
Didn't quite make the grade.
You don't
they did
have
once
that.
the 4th pair went in each side, to be fair.
It was the maddest fucking looking thing.
Maeve and
ever.
Christine came to pick us up, so I had to get into the car to get to the party, and then had to sort of like lower myself down into the seat. And by the time I got into the car, like they were up here, like seriously touching my chin. I couldn't move my neck because it was all tits.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? We've planned to sit here and talk about Greenhouse and our new project, and it's the first time we're talking about it and all the rest of it. Hello, Belfast City Council, who so kindly funded or part funded it. They're probably listening and thinking, "Wow, what decision have we made here?" But it's very exciting, and we're going to be doing more than shoving socks in our titties.
But that is also part of the skill, you know. Like there'll be loads of having space to be creative is kind of the most exciting opportunity, because whenever you give creative people a wee bit of resources, like we were saying last night, whenever we were watching back actually the episode that will have gone out a week ago, and we were thinking about the different things that make a major difference to a community group. For us, we were thinking back and we're like, well, what was the first big change? It was getting those plastic boxes where we could change our toiletry collection from being in plastic bags or bin bags. It went into plastic clear boxes that we could label. That was a game changer for us. And I remember it was Julie that fundraised for us
Preston.
through her did a yoga fundraiser for us, and it changed our world.
She's did a few times. She's did a big fundraiser with her yogi community, and then
so generous.
or now as well. But then it was like, I remember it was like £700 or £800, and we were very much like, have to take that, spend it on a physical item, because it's good to be able to show that and tell the community about it. Yeah. And it doesn't sound very sexy. It's just like boxes, but I remember it being
Changed
a game changer for us, because we went from bags everywhere to sort of
a bit chaotic,
from it being really quite chaotic to then we were in the 343 then, and then we moved to Vault. And do you remember they give us a wee cupboard?
And
it was
like
that,
a stationery
it was
cupboard?
this it was like it was like a stationery cupboard, but there was like little speakers and stuff in it. They cleared it out, and we had put our boxes in, and you'd think we had a 40,000 square foot warehouse.
But
like,
the
I've
boxes
just never
meant
been
you
more
could
proud.
stack to the wall, and it looked really neat, and all of the sort of looser stuff could go on the shelves opposite. But it meant that every time that we ran a packing event and people would come in, it just ran smoother. And then that also meant that then whenever Vault gave us a bit of a bigger space down the corridor, again, we thought, well, what was the next thing? The next thing was shelves.
Yeah.
Give Inc., which is a group of women in the city that sort of all get together. They put a wee bit of money away each month, and then they use it to be able to fund different things for people that wouldn't otherwise necessarily go through a regular charity.
Yeah, so they decide.
Yeah, basically it means that they can be a bit quicker. So if their washing machine breaks and they get the word of it, they can potentially go and buy them a new washing machine without it having to go through another process.
It's Amanda Ferguson.
Yeah, Amanda Ferguson and loads of other wonderful people that we've met in that group a couple of times, and they gave what we needed next for this big room was big shelves, like big, heavy duty shelving, which we still use to this day. And in fact, we ended up adding to the shelves, and then we ended up getting like a bigger space, and it's just like there are certain things that have happened to us over the last 6 years where, we've moved quite a lot of times as we've grown, as our collections have grown, as our need has grown.
They've got a place to put all this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. As we've been able to have the luxury of being able to build up a wee bit of money and a consistency of money coming in, where we've been able to say, okay, we can take on a premises and take on our own rent, which is a really shit yourself scary thing to do. But we're about to move out of the first property that we paid rent on, where we just got fed up with being reliant on other people for a free meanwhile space.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing. It's great that can happen, but it's also really important that if that happens, that people are able to secure a place for a certain number of years and under certain terms. Because even like Vault, there's this thing that happens where if you've got it, even if they have agreed you can have it for 2 years or 3 years, you still know that you're only there temporarily, and that is not a good feeling of the ability to put down roots and actually build something really sustainable. Because no matter what, whenever you transplant your community to another location, you're going to lose some people along the way, and it will change, but the consistency of us being able to sort of grow, like we're moving out of one property that we absolutely loved in West Belfast, that was fantastic, great space, but the location was terrible,
Seriously questionable neighbours.
Yeah. One group on one side was lovely, the others
sweet.
not so much.
Yeah.
But it was also a nightmare to find and things. But it's what we could afford, and it was fantastic for volunteers and things.
It was behind the Kennedy Centre, beside the dump, and facing the building that often goes on fire and is now knocked down.
Yeah.
I used to love telling people that. They'd be like, wow, that's big time stuff.
But it was we were able to provide this absolutely beautiful space. Like we had 800 square foot for our clothing bank there, and it meant we could set it up like the most gorgeous shop. We had like a makeup counter, like a toiletry area, and I'm so grateful for the moments of seeing particularly women that were in most frequently into that space, of the moments of seeing people come in sort of a bit scared and a bit like, oh, what's the catch? It's almost like there was a, what do you want back for this? And it's like, no, you just work away, and by the end of it, often women were like, we'd always have the music pumping, it was always like,
we're having fun, we're having coffee, we're all girls together. It's not like we're here to stand over you as you access the service, and we're going to give you some holy book at the end. We don't need to pray for you. You don't need to light a fucking incense. You maybe just need someone to be human and supportive, and
have a bit of fun,
and for it to be given freely. Almost to the point of where people are so used to coming with a catch that they'll not really take as much, and we're then the people, it's sort of our job in that space to go, actually, if you want more of this, go for it. And you didn't really get enough socks, if you want a few more socks, sure, take those. It's lovely to be able to do that, especially within a space like that space, which was gorgeous. And we're so looking forward now. So we're moving from that site. We've had, just shout out to our incredible volunteers, our team that have been with us for some of them for months, some of them for years, and some people that have just joined us for the first time in the last month as we've been doing a more open volunteering as we pack up. They have worked their butts off. We've had amazing corporate groups in. We've had SHS. We've had a few other groups that are still coming, and we have processed 6 tons of clothing in the last 2 weeks, which is just mind blowing. We started off this month kind of shitting our pants because our lease was up at the end of it.
We were ill.
We were really ill. You've seen the first couple of episodes. They were really ropey. And we actually started off this month without even our building finalised. But we
had trust. We knew we
had trust. We knew it would happen. But it does sort of, as the sort of days creep on, you do think like you went the whole way around from where our warehouse space is in West Belfast, round the corner to this big new storage place. And you actually priced storage and came back. It was £400 a month, which was crazy for the size that we needed. But it's when you get to that sort of stage, you just start to lose a wee bit of faith. You need the insurance policy of that.
In my head, I just need to know that there's a solid plan B, and I knew it was there. Storage is always an option, but I just wanted to know, is there availability? Is there all of a sudden like a storage shortage that we don't know about, that we can't just rely on ringing up and going, right, we're going to be there tomorrow? I just wanted to make sure that there was availability and that I could sleep at night knowing that we weren't going to that we were going to have somewhere to put our stuff. You know, because no question, we've got too much really to even go into another site or for us to bring home or, you know, anything like that. Because we also ran our project from our house, you know, for very many years as well. But we're way, way, way past that point now.
COVID sort of came and Vault decided with like less than 24 hours notice to close the building and shut down, essentially shut down our project, which was a humanitarian project at the beginning of a global pandemic, which is questionable, but we had to move upstairs around the corner on the Beersbridge Road. Someone had given us a wee studio,
very kind of them,
but this little sort of space up above Paul Meakin's. And I remember at the time having to move out of the vault and then having sort of the day, because there was no notice, having the day to look for that. And really, that was the stage where we were like, we can't fit this back into our house.
Yeah,
we've now outgrown the cupboard and the collection, and we had tons of stuff because it was March, or maybe the end of February. So Christmas came, we had all of our donations. They were sort of still sitting there in packs and all the rest of it. So it was that time where we were like, this is serious.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the stuff that we have in West Belfast, when we talk about the things, if you want to sort of imagine it, we've got all of the shop fittings and all the bits from the Free Store that was there. Free Store is also going to move into Greenhouse, into that new project. And then downstairs, in fact, go and look on social media. We've been sharing loads of bits, but downstairs is where we keep all of your donations that come through. So all the clothing, all the toiletries, all the underwear. It's also where we process those things and also where we make up our love packs. So there's sort of just stuff everywhere. But now every box has been sorted, every product has been gone through. We've got just stacks and stacks and stacks of things, and we call them Tesco crates, like sort of supermarket crates. It's beautifully organised.
Yeah, everything has been labelled. There's no crap. We just, you know, you want to move to a new site with a clean slate, that you're not sort of traipsing across rubbish or stuff that isn't sorted or looked at. So we the thing is, you sort of have a bit of like a oh shit moment with that, but we also knew that we had left ourselves enough time, and we made the decision, because it was January, nobody has any money anyway, and nobody's interested in buying clothes in January, so we just made the decision just to close our Wine Tavern Street shop for January and concentrate all of our volunteer effort over in our West Belfast site. And it's just been such a success, you know, like the only thing that's not packed now in that whole building is my desk, because only I can do that, and I ran out of time yesterday.
Tell us this, was Seán in on the last day?
Yes.
Yeah. So you were in Wine Tavern Street when I was getting prepped for Christmas and trying to do the house. But you were in on the very, very last day. We discussed that last night actually. We didn't realise that would be the last day of that shop, and they were going to have it for another month, and we're going to be packing it down slowly and not moving 2 sites at once, because we there's only 2 of us,
and we want to make sure that we've got a consistency of supply in terms of our clothing bank. You know, we've got appointments running like.
They're still going.
They're still continuing, but we're just not going to have the shop open when it takes a huge amount of effort, because you can't also just have one volunteer on site. You know, even for safety, you would have to have at least 2 people in. We would much rather have those 2 people on our other site getting it ready to open. And then it means that like one of our lead volunteer who runs the Free Store project, they're going to be still taking appointments and doing that on like an appointment basis, with Bernardo's coming in and a few other groups.
Talking of them, they are currently in fact, that's the sort of our core team is currently in the new space. We got the keys, left them in. They're currently cleaning and trying to work out what all the rooms are and all the rest of it. Doing our floor plans,
measure up our floor plans, and add windows and doors to it.
It was great this morning to be able to go in, because a lot of this, it's work that we do, and we can share pictures and stories and tell, sort of keep people updated. But really, to see inside of a space and feel it is beautiful. Even just for us, because we did a wee bit of a look around, we decided, and then you go through the process, but you don't then get back in. You don't get given the keys straight away.
Yeah.
And we had literally a couple of pictures that we took while walking around. You don't even try to focus them.
Yeah.
I was dying to get back in. But the new space itself is absolutely beautiful. It's called Greenhouse for a reason, because it has a beautiful glass roof.
Yeah, it's so exciting getting in this morning and being able to look and being able to actually visualise it. Because you know that thing that happens whenever you take a photograph of something, but then your memory just does like a weird job on you. So to actually be able to go in, also I think your memory like makes you think that something's smaller. You know, like it kind of like undersells it to you.
It's large.
So the new property is going to be split over 3 stories. It is in a really super accessible part of the town, but like where Wine Tavern is at one end of the town, we're sort of diagonally opposite. So it's up more near St George's Market, We're not going to give the address yet, are we? We'll just wait.
I kind of guess.
I suppose why not?
We've probably put, at this point when this goes out, we'll probably put our expressions of interest out. So
True.
go onto our page, have a look. If you're interested in signing up as a member, signing up as a volunteer, wanting to get involved, wanting to share your skills, if you have any ideas you can give us, there's a little bit of a survey on that as well.
Yeah.
Fill in that information because it would be so helpful for just helping us piece it together. The actual project itself should be ready to be released in a month or two. We're not setting the date on that. But
It'll be open for April.
But I think
if not sooner.
I think at this point people will know it's Victoria Street at least.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So it's in and around. It's really executive realness.
Yeah.
It is like, it's standing there this morning. You were illegally parked. Becky is a lawbreaker.
Well, we had to offload all our cleaning materials.
Well, we're offloading it. But just standing there this morning and you were giving them a wee look, all of our volunteers and things, a wee look around the building. I was there for the ground floor and the reaction, which was great. But I went back out just in case we got a ticket. And watching everyone walk past, they were all in their briefcases and their gorgeous heels and they were walking out of Andrew Mulvenna. We're actually, we're Andrew Mulvenna's neighbours, which is quite a full circle for me. Hello, Andrew.
Yeah. Hi, Seán as well.
But we're really in like it's fancy, you know. It's like it's fancy. It's a part of the town that wears designer knickers.
Yeah, you can get yourselves a fancy coffee and all the rest.
I'm going to have to start wearing it. What are designer knickers?
Calvin Klein's.
Oh, are they designer?
I mean, like probably not. Like that's the first one I can think of. But I'm sure that Never probably sell designer knickers.
Oh, they've got pants for £200.
Yeah,
you know it. They're very sweet and Never
excellent
actually.
Quality.
They'll be amazing.
Yeah,
they've been very supportive to us. We used to be their neighbours around the corner. But yes, so the new space itself, to actually talk about the project and talk about what the plan is, the thing that's missing in Belfast that we could see was one, that community space and a collaborative space. Also just we physically need space for our projects and our pre-existing bits like the free store and Love Pack and all the rest of it. But the thing that even on top of that that we haven't quite got in Belfast is a share space, is a space where you can access it, is a space where the membership is really quite low, that you can pay as you go in certain parts, that you it's a space with a community focus. So rather than just artist space where you go to your studio, you paint or you do your bits and then you leave, our vibe is trying to answer that question that we had for years, which is how do you connect with other people? How do we come together? What are the collaborative things that we can do that maybe are not paid, that maybe are not some massive funding pot or something from the Arts Council, but are about coming together, about helping mental health, about having a sense of purpose and maybe helping each other as well.
Yeah, so we wanted to look at it differently and it'll be needs based, you know, being able to have your own studio where you keep all your stuff there and you close the door and walk away, that fulfills a particular type of need.
Yeah.
But there's you either have that or there's not really so much of a place where you can either pay for one day or that you can have it open to many, many people, because what we're not going to do is give people like, this is your room, you know, or this is your desk. It's going to be much more of a space where people will come and be a member and come and be a part of it regularly. But by not having one desk that is only attributed to one person or one room, it means that many more people can come and be part of a community. So we can grow that community to a good size, and it means that people's participation will be a key element to that, because we're not just here renting out space, and there's kind of like, obviously you want people to be part of a community if that's the case, but it's not necessarily a given. Yeah. Our model is going to be slightly different in that for us, participation is key. So it's horses for courses. It won't necessarily suit everybody, but for others, it's what they're actually craving. And we've done some...
That was the most common thing from that research.
Yeah, we've done focus groups, we've done video calls, we've spoken to loads of people over the last few years to sort of gather what people want. And as Connor mentioned, like that survey that we'll be putting out, we'll be asking, you know, more sort of specific questions on that, because we very much, although we've sort of put lots of ideas together to come up with the concept of what greenhouse looks like, it's also based on collaboration and based on sort of many needs and many opinions. And it's not a one size fits all, but we hope that this one solution will have many ways for people to be able to interact with it.
Yeah.
And it means that one of the key points of the whole thing is that we'll be able to address a need that exists in the charity sector. So for example, our good friends at Flourish,
We love Flourish.
Oh God, we love them. Every member of staff's wonderful. All their
Yeah.
volunteers are wonderful. We've been working with them in our free store project for many years.
So they work with survivors of human trafficking.
Yeah, so they have a very particular need and a waiting list for their services. But one of the things that they love the most is being able to run a sewing class. They've got amazing volunteers that can do that with them, but space is a limitation because they have to do it from their own offices.
Yeah.
So that means that to make that happen, they've got to clear stuff out and then bring that in for 8 weeks on a nightly basis and then put it all back in again. So that's a big job for people whose time could be probably better used doing other things. If that could be farmed out, they could get that time back. So if we can then say, okay, great, you can do exactly what you're doing now, but we'll host you.
Totally.
So it means that you can keep your office exactly as it is. You can still have your same sewing teachers. You can still have all of the same bits, but we'll host you. So you can meet at our place. We'll have lovely teas and coffees on for people. We'll have resource there. We'll have materials. We'll have equipment. We're going to keep our free store offering in the same vein, but we're just going to evolve it a little bit. So it means that we're going to have always on clothing provision. So people that are in, whether you're a community group or whether you're a member, you can come in and you can use the wall of clothes that we've steamed and prepared and that is sitting
you can
within
wear them,
our,
or you can remake them, or you can
So you can also, if you feel like you want to, you can bring stuff in as well and contribute towards it. But also we will be able to keep some certain things that would be ethically wrong to cut up and reuse are things like coats. So what
just,
we'll do
hard
is,
to find and really needed items like that.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm saying ethically. But I mean like things like pants and socks as well, that they're not a reuse thing. They're like high demand. So we're going to keep those only offerable to community groups, but clothes that we've coming down with, the world has far too many clothes in it.
Yeah.
We can use as a resource either for making or for wearing or whatever.
I think that's really important, though. It's the missing piece for so many of the organisations that we've had dealings with. That it's often on. There is a line on your charity commission application or whatever, but it often isn't put into practice. Whereas it's fundamental to us. It's actually the sort of the whole purpose of our project is being able to support the community and to be able to support each other.
Have loads of fun at the same time.
Yeah, and have fun and bring a bit of colour and bring a bit of light. It's doing what we do within the charity sector, but within a building space. Another need or question that we're answering is the fact that it will. I don't really know how to say this, but it will fall in line with our values.
Yeah.
So we'll be focused on equality, on diversity, on welcoming all voices and people and perspectives, and we'll have a real focus on that, because that's really quite important.
But I think there's one of the magic things that will happen about bringing people together, and as I was saying earlier on about the thing that happens when people were packing period packs, is that around a table of all manner of people that have come together, you could have, say somebody in their 70s sitting beside somebody who is trans, sitting beside somebody who is a refugee, sitting beside a man who's a lorry driver, but all of the things that people have chosen to do to come together to be in that room have meant that they're all sitting working on the same team. They're working on a common purpose. They're coming together to do something, and that breaks down a lot of barriers, and it means that people will have conversations. So, what we imagine is that, maybe, we really want to make sure that we're focusing on bringing in older people that are retired, that maybe are experiencing isolation and loneliness, and it means that there's a lot of skills that exist within that population of people that we can say, okay, well, we're not bringing you in to say, oh dear, come on in and get a wee cup of tea. We don't want you to be lonely anymore.
But
that's patronising. But actually, we need your help.
Yeah.
So come in and help us. And while you're there, maybe you're going to meet somebody who's a refugee. Maybe you're going to meet somebody who is a trans person or a non-binary person. And all of a sudden, you've got a human face to attach to an opinion. So it makes it a lot harder at the dinner table to be able to say, oh, well, insert shit opinion that you've just read off the media.
Yeah.
You can actually say, well, hang on a second. No, because I've met Connor or I've met Linda or I've met whoever, and they have a story to tell and I really like them. So now it gets much harder. In the same way that is much more common with gay men, for example. It has been for years. People usually now have a face and a voice attached to that. We're going to create a place where there's all kinds of, diversity and inclusion is not a work stream. You know, it's a purpose. You know,
intergenerational dialogue is something
Yes.
that we really lack. You know, so there's such a disconnect between, you know, different generations, and that's why there's such a change in opinion when you go, like, the people who, you know, are a bit older.
Yeah.
That there's a divide, you know, in terms of generations. Yeah, I think that's really important to be able to, like you're saying, share those skills, because people have them. It's remembering that older people were once. It's so obvious this, but it's like you really have to remind yourself that that they were once younger and they have much more experience than us, and that they have a story to tell, and that they're not just a wee granny. I cannot wait for that.
Think of the revolutions that were happening in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People that were teenagers in the 60s are now in their 70s. So that whole swathe of people were like breaking boundaries, we're changing things, we're switching up, you know, bringing rights, additional rights for women, additional rights for a wealth of people that now we're still trying to get rights for more communities that are marginalised. We don't have the exclusive rights on that. You know, it's been happening for many years, and and it's not to say that very far from all older people. You know, like think about like Brenda's mummy that comes into the shop and things as well. People have got really amazing opinions. It actually, people can sometimes use age as an excuse.
Yes.
But actually, I don't think that that's necessarily fair. You know, I do understand if somebody's maybe got severe dementia and they're in their 80s or 90s or something like that, and somebody just doesn't want to keep having to have a conversation time and time again. I understand that they want to give themselves that break, but I do not take an excuse of, oh, well, they're of a different generation. It breaks my heart whenever you hear people saying, oh, well, I haven't told my granny I'm gay, or I haven't told, you know, as if like they'd be ostracised for that. And don't get me wrong, I understand somebody's personal reasons for doing that, but I do not buy it as an excuse of why a whole family or group would rally round to let somebody be put down like that.
If that's your worry, get the fuck away from the people.
Yeah.
Just, if you have the opportunity to do it, run as fast as you can and as far as you can. Know that you can book a flight, you can get a visa. Really, it's really very accessible, and you can just go. Because like my granny's brethren, my granny is part of a church that is like long skirts, long hair. It is like, I don't think any women are in charge of anything bar making
cleaning.
probably a sandwich. Yes, she did clean the place for about 50 years. But she actually, when I came out, she first went to her pastor, whatever they're called, and asked, and their reply, thank God, because I love my granny and I love the relationship that I have with her. I'd hate to have lost that. But she asked, or she told him about me being a raving homosexual, and he said, well, do you love them? And she says, well, yeah, that, you know, they're my grandson, and that is always like, that actually came like second hand or maybe third hand off someone else, but that's really helped to empower me and sort of strengthen my heart. You know, I'm in a relationship with my granny, that I'm not thinking, oh, because you're part of this madness of that type of fundamental religion, you're going to have these opinions. It's the same. It's because it kind of goes. It goes the other way. It's like, because you are a person of color, you are going to do this. Because you're a woman, you're expected to do this. This is what I think of you. Because you're gay, even like you're talking about gay men and people that maybe are a little bit more privileged within the LGBT space. But it's important for then the wee Marys of the world, or whoever else, to sit down with a gay person or a queer person and realize what we all realize about each other, even if we are worlds. We feel like we're worlds apart. We're all human, and we all we're all the same. We're all one. You know. I swear this is turning into some sort of like hippy dippy fucking get the incense.
I think that's the way it started, and that's the way it will continue.
You're so right, and there's so many lessons to be learned from that generation too. Even like within the queer community, and like if we think like the stigma at the moment, but like it's bad. Like, look at what people in the community went through in the 80s. The whole HIV crisis and all, and the fear and the death sentence that was like. Then like hearing stories from people at that time, like going through that is very empowering, and it's I think there's a lot younger generation can learn from that and not just see past. That's just a wee old person, you know.
Yeah. I think also one of the reasons why we still have as many issues as we do with homophobia and transphobia and all the rest of it is that actually what should be the case now is that there should be loads more 70-year-olds and 80-year-olds that are gay, that are like living their best lives, that are married, but we lost them. You know, they were all, like, not all, but a huge percentage of people were just lost. You know, there's rarely a story that's given. Like, we were watching we're really into Architectural Digest YouTube channel.
Love
and
a wee home walk through.
Yeah, it's like a posh version of like MTV Cribs.
We might do one for the warehouse before we leave. Actually, I've wanted my kind of Kylie Jenner AD experience.
We were watching Michael Kors on it yesterday, and there was a moment he was talking about a piece of art that was in his room, and you can almost feel it coming, where he says, but this, he's sadly no longer with us. You know, he died of HIV in AIDS. In I think he was going to say the 80s or 90s or something like that. But that's just so commonly the story, you know. So I think that has a major impact in that people don't have a lot of people their own age around them, you know, to be able to have that face, to be able to have those direct conversations. There is like definitely a divide. Now, obviously, that's becoming less and less the case as the population ages and things as well.
One thing that I think is really exciting within the new space is that we're going to be able to combine those people with people that need them. So that might be to share skills, but it might also be to form our own families, to make friends, to connect with other people, to sort of learn something, to have sort of mentorship, because a lot of people that are out there that are marginalised or queer or whatever else don't have that. And it's actually really important. Like, I have zero relationship with my immediate family for lots of good reasons that actually surrounds homophobia, and I'm so grateful for the people that are around us, for people that like Brenda, that I think about as like a really lovely auntie, and I have pretty nasty aunties, but really just love, you know, people that are there to support you, that see you. People like Tony that come into us every week, that no matter, you could have stood the whole week and done nothing, and Tony will walk into your space and be like, oh, here, isn't it brilliant? That, oh, look, it's so clean, and you've been working so hard, and this coffee's amazing. Remember when we didn't have coffee? You know, those kind of people, to have a whole community of that, where you can come in and say, oh, I'm doing a course, or I'm going to uni, or whatever it is, and I've got this wee thing, and then you work on it together with a wee Brenda, and maybe you give your knit or whatever it is into your assessor, and when you can then you can leave there, hopefully come to the greenhouse then afterwards, find Brenda and say, do you know, that really worked, and that wee thing, that wee technique that you showed me was perfect, and they really loved it, and they haven't maybe seen that for years, but it's about maybe heritage, maybe it's about you know, all that sort of side of things.
But I know that, you know, one of the groups of people that will really benefit from the project as well is, and this is again based on insights from speaking to students, speaking to teachers and things, is students, you know, is people that have enjoyed the environment of having studied their degree or studied any qualification really, but they've been in a class surrounded by other people doing similar things, and once they've completed their qualification, now they're like, what's next? You know, they're surrounded by people who that you can turn around to go to and say, I was thinking about doing this bit pink. Do you think it should be pink, or do you think it should be yellow? Just that sounding board of somebody to be able to ask is invaluable, because you could like then lose loads of time getting stuck in the decision of should it be pink or should it be yellow. You know, it's just like, it's creating communities, families, advice, you know, people that you get to celebrate stuff with, you know. Like, it really touched me this year, having had our shop now and a really solid community of volunteers who we love dearly, and we're so grateful for being able to have our Christmas party this year. And we couldn't even, you can rarely ever pick a date where everybody can come, so there was some people that we love that couldn't make it, but those that could make it, we were so grateful to have them there. We had so much crack, and it really felt like for us like the real Christmas, you know, even being sick over that whole time, the fact that we had that one day where we got to celebrate with our chosen family. You know,
you're making your own family.
The more that we can say that out loud, that yes, blood family exists, and it is important, and it's part of so many of our identities and experiences, but that chosen family is there, that we can form our own friendship groups, and actually even branding it in that sense changes it, because kind of the idea of like blood being thicker than water. You can kind of let a lot of things lie. It's not just some silly friend group where you're like, well, that's Stacey out. Stacey's your sister, so look after her. She needs. She went out with you that night and she was the nightmare and she was crying and she fought with someone because she's really struggling. It's those kind of conversations that.
It's the people that look out for you. You know, it's whenever they haven't seen you for a couple of weeks.
When you're missing. Yes.
Yeah. You know, that are like, we're not putting any pressure on you to come back because we need you to come and volunteer, although we'd love it. Yeah. But we just want to know that you're okay. Totally. You know, and it's knowing that like there's people that give a shit about you and that care for you in other ways. And also it's people that are, whenever you're involved in something like that, you know, a row or something like that, or somebody having a disagreement or not liking something or whatever, shit happens. Yeah. You know, rarely, but it does happen. But it's like having like a leadership in that manages that and takes care of it and steps in to protect people whenever something goes wrong and makes sure that the ecosystem of how people work together is protected and it's cared for and it's a living thing, you know.
That it's curated and that it's managed. It's not just fucking everyone in a room and then
being like, deal with it.
I don't know, running off back home. Yeah,
what is all of that on you?
I don't know. I keep, and it's terrible for sound. So anyone that's listening, I have been constantly touching the table.
It's all over your front
stuff, but I've basically got a load of little white.
You doing coke in here again, Seán?
Over.
Oh shit!
It's like old Tony Montana over here.
It's an aisle. Do you know what it is? It's a tissue. There's us trying to sell our new building and how brilliant we are, and I'm covered in aisle crap. Well, that's
wee bits of tissue.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, actually, do you know what? I know that I'm normally the worst for leaving tissues in pockets.
Do you want some
and putting them in the machine?
Titty rubbing. How's that? Oh, we'll have to get you to sign them still. Yeah. I can't wait.
But I have not worn those tracksuit bottoms, so that's Connor's tissue that has gone through the machine.
I'm a womble. I pick stuff up unless if it's an actual tissue. So that will be like one of our tissues. I'm good with touching that. If it's an actual tissue, I'll not touch it because that's rotten.
Yeah.
But I will find stuff. Like if I'm in here, I will. And like it's not stuff. It's like rubbish or whatever. Like if someone's left a wee sweetie paper, we've had a couple of people in. There's a couple of coffee cups.
Just instinctively
I'll lift it, and I'll often, if it's small enough, I'll put it into my pocket. So I end up at the end of the day. Sometimes I take a picture. Someone will arrive from. We're doing an event, and the Irish News comes. I'm thinking of a specific picture, and I look like I have this big Kim Kardashian hole because I've shoved so much shit into my pockets.
To clear way for a picture if you're trying to
like this. It's just padding.
I forgot. So
I put on a pair of tracksuit bottoms yesterday. We were going around to see our wee friends Eddie and Karen. And,
shout out to Eddie and Karen. We love you.
But I was putting on a pair of tracksuit bottoms and I put my hand in the pocket and pulled it out. And this is like regular, like what's in the pockets today? It was a fucking conker. It was a conker. It was like, this is like the pockets of like a 7-year-old.
I don't know who I stole that conker off, but somebody had them.
Probably found it in a box or something like that. No,
someone was showing us them one day and I had to see inside of it. So I opened it and you were probably just talking, having an adult conversation in the world, and I opened it up and I was like, oh my God. And then I really wanted to see inside the conker, so I opened it up to see how it all worked, and then was left with all this shit. So I must have just shoved it in my pockets, and probably months later
it's gone through the washing machine and I put them on.
You pulled them out and you were like, what? That's and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that actually. Yeah.
Connor's Conkers could also be the name of your OnlyFans.
I love it.
I love it.
Here, that's it. Yeah. What do you just show the conkers?
Just the conkers.
That would suit me actually. Yeah. Just the conks.
Yeah.
And if you're like sugar daddy material, and I don't have to meet you. But you want to be flashing the knob, then sure you can pay an extra tenner, or maybe more, maybe actually more. Yeah.
So the reason I'm reaching for my phone here is because it is time.
Because you're going to sign up for Connor's Conkers.
Yeah. No, you're not going to look at my phone because I'm going to read something out to you here. But it is time for our Queers Around the Corner segment. So. We had a letter into Queers Around the Corner, and I didn't read it out to you yet because...
No, you said it was very nice.
It's very nice, but there is a question in it, but the question is to you. Now, I haven't actually read. I actually probably should scan this a wee bit. I don't want to read it too much myself because the minute I read it, I'll start thinking about it, and I want to kind of be fresh to do that.
Okay.
So I'll not say who it's from because I didn't get the chance. They've sent it to me to read out, but I didn't.
It's a guy.
But yeah. but it's a guy, so you're not allowed to look at it.
Sorry, I heard it just at the very end. It says "love the guy."
Oh yes.
Oh my God.
Isn't that so sweet? So, sorry, I just went to send that there. So, it says, "Hello. Absolutely love the podcast. Thanks for all the super important work you do." And a couple of wee hearts. I actually left a comment on your TikTok video touching briefly on this, but I was so happy to hear someone talk about their school experience, as I feel like most people I know had a great time at school, whereas mine, like Connor's from the sound of it, was horrendous.
Oh.
Basically, I'd like your thoughts on what you would do if you were me. I actually did complain to the school one time, as I feel sad to think of any queer kids going through what I went through there now.
Yeah.
And I wanted something done, but they refused to look into my complaint because of how long ago it was. Brackets, lol, such a cop-out from them. Love, I will not say their name because I haven't checked to see if they were okay with that or not.
Is it the same school?
You know who you
Do we
are.
know?
They didn't specifically say. That was all the information. They haven't added any. But I think it's just really, they have had a nightmare time at school. Now they're an adult and they're like, hang on a second, I need to do something about that. But I think the school is saying, well, we're much better now. But okay,
I don't think so. I think the TikTok that they're talking about. If you're not following us on TikTok, we're trying to build it. It's very, very small right now, but please just go on and bloody follow and share something. But the TikTok that they're maybe talking about was one that we shared talking about Carrickfergus Grammar School and my experience within it, which was it was horrific. It was really very, very bad. Centered around me as a young queer person and some of their very questionable actions. Now, I thought that was something that was based in the past, or at least I hoped that. But a lot of the feedback that was coming, and this isn't Carrickfergus Grammar School specific, but just regionally, a lot of the feedback that we were getting was, it was like, I'm a mummy, my kid is currently in school, I went to school X and I was trans and I had this experience a couple of years ago. You know, it seems like it really is a current thing. I agree with this person that it's a cop out, that actually they should, you know, I would want to see the policy.
Yeah.
So I would want to know what the cutoff is. So you can't tell me it was too long ago without you telling me what your cutoff date is.
Or what has changed since then.
Yes.
I think no matter what, if that has been your experience as a past pupil, I think now that the default response should be that any school should give time to be able to say, I understand that things maybe in whatever date it was weren't great. However, now this is what we do. So this is how things are different.
Yes.
And I think that the only acceptable thing, exactly. The only acceptable thing is for them to be able to assure you that those practices are no longer taking place. And if they can't, then pursue it.
The thing is, as well, you know, if you're reaching out to say, so the story that I had sort of told was around coming out and being really quite queer in school and being pushed towards SU, which is Scripture Union.
Pray the guy away.
It still exists. People are still being pushed into that institution within Carrickfergus Grammar School, because we've heard it firsthand, and it was very recent. There's still some really questionable stuff happening around the teachers and their way of being and treating when it comes to gender expression and all the rest of it. Seriously questionable. But you have to ask yourself then.
Well, I just want to say before you go on as well is that shout out to the teachers who are not like that, because we've also had a wealth of teachers who have got in touch with us, or who we've spoken at events or at markets or in the shop or whatever, who fully get it, who are fully down for understanding that sometimes, and it's probably the exception, not the rule, sometimes school is the only safe place for a kid to be themselves. And sometimes teachers and other pupils, or particularly other pupils, kids now are so much more switched on when it comes to equality issues and gender issues and sexuality. But a lot of teachers are actually really on the forefront of understanding that those schools can be the only safe place for a kid, because maybe that kid goes home to a very religious household, you know, and that's why there's a bit of an uproar at the minute, understandably, how the Conservative government are bringing out new practices, particularly around trans kids, that actively will seek parental approval and conversations to do whatever is the next stage of changing a name or changing a gender legally. And whereas sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it's really not. Sometimes the school or that environment is the only place where that kid can actually be themselves. You know, so none of these things are like hard and fast. Like, I don't want teachers to be getting in touch with us to say, oh no, I'm different. We know that there's difference. You know, there always is. But
teachers
what's important...
So teachers are trying their best, but it's the institutions and the mechanisms that still exist that are harming children.
And that's often coming from even like the Education Authority.
Yeah.
You know, like
notoriously terrible when it comes to LGBT issues and anything gender related.
Yeah, like we've done work recently and had conversations recently with multiple youth organisations, but one in particular was talking about how they had no one to ask. They had no opportunity to be able to say, what do I do in this situation? This child is identifying as somebody different to who they express themselves as and who is in there on their birth certificate. But they're like, what is the guidance? What do you do next?
Yeah.
There is no guidance, you know.
Yeah,
and there's
I actually went to an event in Derry. This must have been 4 years ago, and it was part of the youth organisation that I worked for before, and there was a launch as part of Derry Pride, where this group of young people, like from a school, I can't remember the school exactly. I see the students launched a framework for like schools and for teachers to follow.
Is it the Gay or Straight Alliance thing?
It could be,
because often they call it that.
Gay Straight Alliance. I think Lagan College were doing a lot of stuff on that as well.
And I thought that was amazing. Like the young people actually put this together,
Totally,
because it was off the back of their own experiences, and it was sort of them saying, right, this is how this should be dealt with, and they were telling the school that, you know, and the school took it on board.
And they're right.
Well. Yeah, it was actually a really great wee campaign.
That's it should be more of that.
Yeah.
You know, because we kind of there's something about the school system that currently exists that was set up as a reaction to the Industrial Revolution and is so far outdated, but there's something about that is very sort of top down, and it would suggest that it doesn't give young people any power, and it would suggest that they just don't have it in them to give the feedback or to kind of to shape those systems. Of course they do. They get to know more about it than most. You know, they have to experience it.
Yeah, like every trust, every medical issue, every mental health issue is currently now working on. Everybody understands what co-production is. Everybody understands that lived experience is one of the most key pieces of feedback that you can have in really any initiative at all. You know, you can't come up with services for people who use drugs without asking. You know, you can't have a lot of doctors and nurses and social workers sitting in a room making that decision. You have to have people who have lived that life, who have walked in those shoes, to be able to say that will work, that will not work, or all of these options will work. It's exactly the same in a school system. You know, we are teaching young people to be obedient in a school system. And now we all have to learn how to operate as part of a society that works. But at the same time, it's often the outliers. It's the people that say no. It's the people that say this isn't good enough, that want to make things better, that do, you know, and we should also be creating the conditions for young people to be able to say, no, I've got a better idea. And young people are the ones who do have the lived experience of being at a school, of being around a school, mean girls environment, you know, you can't sit with us type thing. It's like, they're the ones that can come up with what the changes can be. And what the Gay Straight Alliance, whatever Lagan College specifically call it, that is the very basis of using your privilege. You know, it's like why we need men to be feminists, because often men are sat in the rooms making decisions where women haven't been allowed into yet. You know, it's where we need straight people to be able to sit in the rooms and say, we need queer people to be able to be included in these conversations. Lagan College, for example, in the fact that they are using their privilege, they're understanding what it means that actually the queer kids by themselves won't be able to necessarily affect much change. It takes for the kids that are experiencing the privilege to be able to open the doors and invite in those new conversations and process, and using their power, because there's more of them, also to be able to make those decisions, you know.
And Lagan are like, that has been a wee theme for them the last couple of years, because there was that thing a couple of years ago where there was, because obviously Lagan is like integrated, and there was an issue a couple of years ago where like they were deciding whether or not, you know, the young people could come in wearing Easter lilies or wearing poppies, and the school banned the school banned the wear of either, right? But then some kids protested that and came in either wearing either, and it would happen every year, and there would be fights around it and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But what the students actually done was set up their own body and like representatives and talked about it, and then they went back to the teachers and says, no, we actually think you should take away your ban.
Yeah.
And we have agreed that, you know, it's where our side of the community are going to be able to express ourselves, and that side of the community are going to be able to express themselves, and there's going to be no more said about it.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
and
amazing.
nobody's allowed to, like, you know, start kick up any fuss about it.
Yeah.
And the problem as well was that, like, the parents had been were the ones leading, like, the protests in terms of stirring up the pot and going like, no, you go in there and you do this. And so, like, it took the parents out of the equation and just made it be about the students are deciding what's happening here.
Because it's their trauma that's speaking, the parents' trauma.
Yeah.
It's their experience that actually the world has changed since then.
Yeah.
And we can maybe have the conversation, we can maybe mix those ideas, maybe even as a council then, or as a body, those kids can get together to sort out some of the problems or some of the issues that are happening. But yes, when it comes to it, I think it's using your power and privilege and being able to do that across sort of the divide when it comes to sexuality, religion, and all the rest of them. When it comes to this person, I think I number one would want an apology. I would want recognition for what has happened, because let's face it, it's not something. Well, why would you bother yourself if it hadn't actually happened to you? So number one, if someone or something or an institution does something wrong, you want an apology, you want that to be recognised, and then you want them, like you were saying, to show how they've changed. The problem is they may not have changed, and then that's a whole sort of other kettle of fish. But I do think overall schools are we would probably hear more positive than we do negative. But the negativeness
is really bad.
It's really bad. And it would just suck you back into like the bloody 80s. You know, it's the sort of stuff that you assumed was gone, and unfortunately it's not, especially when it comes to gender and all of the kind of debate and all of the questions around it.
Do you remember whenever we were in the warehouse last week, we had my old friend John Stay in, and he asked a really good question, I thought, and he said, would you go back? You know, if you could be 18 again, or you could be 25 again, would you?
I would go back.
It's not that long ago for you.
I would go back with the experience that I have, possibly, but that's just not how it works. No, probably not. It was really, really bad, and nobody listened, and it was now something that I know as an adult has deeply affected me, has deeply traumatized me, has caused me to seriously suffer with anxiety and depression and all other sorts of things. It's in school, and as part of those systems, it is what first led me to suicidal ideation. It's what it wasn't good. And I think actually one of the biggest parts of it was that when I was trying to say that out loud, I wasn't listened to. So that's almost happening for this person again, where you're going and saying, has this changed? Because this really happened to me. And you're getting told, well, it was years ago. Or, well, it didn't happen. Or, well, you're just being dramatic. And that is so deeply triggering for people who really had to have that experience. And it might be that you experienced that in school, but it might be that you experienced that in your family or in work. But to be to not be listened to and not be believed is kind of the worst. You know, it's so deeply triggering. So know that we feel that for this person that sent that through, that it's really difficult, but know that as an adult you have another position here. You have power. You can shout from the rooftops. You can speak to your local paper, speak to your local counsellor, reach out to teachers. You know that there's a board that runs that school. Now half of them are bloody religious. I think that's actually legislated for. But
for them will be.
Know that there's that, what do you call the thing that the parents that are trying to prove themselves do?
PTA.
You know, the sort of competitive cakes. I think I would be in the PTA though. If we had a kid, I'd be all over it. Like, this banner isn't right. Like, if this formal isn't good for these kids, their lives will be ruined.
But then that makes me think, you know, it's not to say that we don't do, a lot in that world, but, I suppose we did have we are busy. We need to think of a new word for busy in terms of the amount of stuff that we do. But it does make me think, with the response that we had, with the fact that, actually the clip that blew up the most on TikTok was specifically talking about that, which is, that what that says to me is it's something that people care about and that's still happening. And we have experienced, we've had lots of people in over the last couple of years doing work experience with us, and we've had multiple people who have said to us that they have had issues with that.
Remember that kid? We had a kid in once that, or a young person in once that was doing work experience, and they brought their forms, and they were sort of quite nervous anyway as a child or as a young person. They were queer, and they brought their forms, and the name on the forms didn't represent the name that they had given us because they
the school had to go with their birth name.
I don't think they had to. I don't think that's actually legislation.
Or that's what they said.
But
anyway.
That's the rule that they've arbitrarily made up with zero probably evidence, and that this kid was just so kind of blown away by one of the first questions we'll ask is, what pronouns do you use, and what's your preferred name? Because it was just to sort of clear that up. And I remember them just sort of, it almost felt like their first sort of steps into like the world away from the sometimes horrific school system, just to maybe give them a little. I know if I was a young person and I heard that, it would give me a little bit of hope. I know for me, joining her business and the salon business, it really helped to inspire me, because there was lots of queer people about. There were people that were queer that were very successful. The person that I work with was a real star, but it was gay as hell. It's really empowering, that even just to spend that week with them. You could see them going from like this little shell of a sort of little quiet human to they came out with this for Pride, and they've been the other things as well. We just sort of we live for that. It's knowing that even if those systems still exist and we can't break down all of those rules and barriers and all the rest of it, that we can as humans connect on that level and make people feel seen and safe and heard and welcome.
It makes me think that at some point, and I'm working on a lot of stuff at the minute in terms of like paperworky type stuff that we have to do with our new project, but I do think that at some point we will put our money where our mouth is, and we will reach out and have that conversation about the experiences that you had, and basically what advice that we just gave to our person that wrote the letter. We should take our own advice as well and use the privilege and the platform and the things that we have to be able to have a direct conversation. And it's like, it's you could say that like it's easy to say something on a podcast or on social media or whatever, but it's maybe not so easy to sit and have that face-to-face conversation. We are not those people. We will have that face-to-face conversation. So we should do that at some point. We should initiate it.
Just because we're so busy, we've got so much going on, and I know we're almost finished. We're probably finished about probably half an hour ago. But because we were so busy and there's so much going on, it's been shelved.
Yeah.
But we did try. We reached out to a local paper and we put together an article to talk about it. And now we won't say the paper, the journalist, or anything else, but their feedback was that, oh, great, but just because this has a sort of an anti-religious, which we're not, we're pro equality and expressing yourself in whatever way you feel, but because it to them felt anti-religious, they then suggested that a member of the Presbyterian or the Methodist Church.
No, they wanted to run with the article as it was. It was their editor that said that had to be done for balance.
Sorry, I'm saying the paper, not the journalist. But this sort of institution of a paper, their feedback was, well, we really should have some religious nutter talk about their perspective. Because, they should have a say in this. I'm sorry, religious fundamentalists or organised religion in any way should not shape any of our children's education, any of those systems, any of the places where they go to be safe and to be kept during the day. I think it's crazy because, let's face it, they haven't really did the best job.
No,
I would be scared to put my child anywhere near a school with priests or nuns or anything else. And see on the other side, you get nutters that might not be in a habit, but they are in some suit, that people like that teacher that I spoke about that are just truly horrific, really limiting in terms of growth for young people.
It's a very noble profession filled with amazing talented people who really just want to help.
Work.
It's such hard work, and they have such a hard time. They work mad hours and get damn all thanks for it.
As a side up the workers, give them more fucking money.
Yeah, exactly. But there are some people within that mix, as there are, like I suppose in every environment, that are just horrific.
It's the argument that you come up against here. We will finish, promise. But it's either that there's a collection of bad apples which they would like to make you believe. I think that it's systemic. It's a systemic problem, and it's an overall a sort of negative relationship that the school board has with the young people and the parents and everyone else that's involved in that system. That fundamentally needs to change. It's not right. I think it is slowly changing, but it needs to change quicker. That was a fun one, wasn't it? So we really do have to finish because we're done and we'll have to get back to your lovely new building. Just as a reminder, it's called Greenhouse. By the time this goes out, we'll hopefully have that expression of interest up on our social medias. So go on, give us your information, sign up, let us know if you're interested in any of the bits that we're offering, and follow along on social media. We'll be giving you regular updates here. We'll maybe be speaking to some of the partners or key players and bringing them on here. We're hopefully not soon, but at some point going to move this set to our new space, so you'll get to see that. We'll be there. We'll be live from Greenhouse if it all works out. And yeah, get excited.
Yeah. But yeah, well, we're very glad to be back with the two of us. Oh God, that makes it sound as if you were on last week, Seán, as if we're like, thank God he's away.
It's dreadful.
No, but
Jeez, that was a drag.
Yeah. No, that was one of our favourite ones ever.
You play a guitar, get over it.
Yeah. No, we loved it. But yeah, we've also been getting lots of feedback in terms of the cadence and things like that, in that people have said that they love having the guests on, and we've really enjoyed having all of our guests on. But people have also said that they really love it whenever it is just us two talking as well. So we're going to play about a wee bit over the next couple of months in terms of like the number of guests that we have on, whether it's just us. But we've got a very good guest coming up.
We have a really
soon.
big guest tomorrow.
Really.
Or not tomorrow, but we have a big guest next week.
Yeah.
So look out for that.
Yes.
It's going to be a hard-hitting Newsnight style interview.
Yeah, and we've been told we can ask anything.
And actually, once you know who this person is, it's actually very brave to say that. Of course, you can trust us. We're not going to put you in the shit. But this person is wonderful. We really love them. But a real leader within our community and within our country. So very exciting. Well, look, until next time, make sure that you ring the bell, that you subscribe, that you do all the bits. If you've got money, give us it. If you've got things, we would like them too. And if you've got skills to share, reach out on social media or via our website. It's www.anotherworldbelfast.com. I just made that up, and that's now what we're going to put at the end of every episode.
Love it.
Yes, thank you, and goodbye.
Yeah, thank you. Show some love.